Welcome back to another reaction. Today I'm going to look at Britain versus America. Well, it's actually UK versus USA culture, explained by Jimmy the Giant. All right, I'm going to check this out. Let's take a look.
Are like twins separated from birth. One was raised in fine aristocracy, and the other was abandoned at a gas station and told, good luck. These two great nations have dominated the world both economically, militarily, and culturally.
Everyone in Britain got in a big old boat, and we set sail, and we robbed, and this will sound far-fetched, everyone in the world.
Whilst having spawned from the same origins, they went off in their own two directions, becoming both very similar and very different.
Yo, we all are great. We all should think that we're great. There's no reason for you to not think that you're great.
I've started to get this feeling that I'm totally fucked. You know, everything's fucked.
Today, we will analyze American versus British culture.
The American comic hero is a wisecracker who is above his material and who is above the idiots around him. You know that scene in Animal House where there's a fellow playing folk music on a guitar? John Belushi picks up the guitar and destroys it. And the cinema will laugh because he just smashes it and then waggles his eyebrows at the camera. Everyone says, God, he's so great. Well, a British comedian would want to play the folk singer.
Comedy is a great way of revealing a culture's ideas. So American comedy and British comedy, they're very different. American comedies always tend to be built around the idea of like optimism and positivity.
Be curious.
Is it?
Not judgmental. I like that.
There's typically always the notion that things can get better. You can see this in the character Leslie Knope in Parks and Rec.
I can do it. I can crush him.
I don't watch that show.
Promise.
Never have.
And
Not once.
typically, in an American comedy, the cool guy is the main character.
So you know how to take the reservation.
I'm not a fan of
You
the
just
show
don't
either.
know how to hold the reservation.
Now, let's compare that to British comedies. Typically, the idea in a British comedy is that life will always disappoint you.
We need to have a talk.
You finishing with me?
We weren't ever really.
Oh,
I see you not around, but here.
see you.
Secondly, you'll never make it in life. All your dreams and hopes and optimism is ultimately futile.
I have this dream. You and I own this skyscraper office block on the South Bank. And above us, on top of the skyscraper, in 50-foot-high neon lettering, are the initials of Trotters, independent traders.
Just above your head is the word tit.
Another idea that is shown is that you can always expect the worst thing to happen.
So, yeah. Right, thank you very much. Do you like it? Oh, shall I put that on you? Brilliant.
Ah,
Do you want another beer?
you gotta expect
Was
this.
that my beer? Yeah. Do you want me to get you? Yes.
And finally, the main
Ricky?
character, the point of focus in a British comedy will typically be some awkward loser.
I like your glasses.
I'm afraid they're not for sale. Laugh all you want, they're not for sale.
And so this leads us to our
Who the hell wants to
first
buy that
key
shit off your
cultural
face?
difference. And that is American idealism versus British realism. Instead of me telling you this, I'm going to show you it through expressions. Americans will say things like this. Well, you know what they say. The sky's the limits. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Whereas in Britain, we'll say things like, got hope for the best, but expect the worst, mate. We literally have a thing called Sod's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong.
think,
And then let's say you have a situation.
I think this the USA is optimistic is really not true, and he's just showing some parts of the culture. I think I'm seeing some parts of the UK culture, not all of it, but in reality, the USA is mostly not positive at all. You're only seeing like a small part based on what they really want you to see, I think. And I wouldn't consider those examples of the USA shows to be good examples of American comedy. I personally don't watch either of the shows. Seinfeld was big in his day, but even then, I only saw what I think my parents were watching, and I didn't want to be their watching that shit. I really don't find it funny. I like, you know, like things like Big Bang Theory. That was funny, okay? And I watched the shit out of that show. I think that's more of USA style is Big Bang Theory compared to, you know, Seinfeld. So I want to just make sure that's clear going forward here. As any other examples like that, just assume it's more Big Bang Theory versus Seinfeld.
Where something is looking good. You've got an opportunity. Americans will say, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Whereas we'll literally say, well, old boy, don't count your chickens before they hatch. And then finally, if you're in America and your whole life is going terribly, it's looking awful, Americans say, well, it's always darkest before dawn.
No, we
in
don't.
England, if everything's going well, we'll say, yeah, mate, but this is just the calm before the storm. So you might be wondering, why?
We're like,
Why
fuck my
do we
life,
have
right?
these very distinct attitude differences?
Typical.
Now stand aside, worthy adversary. 'Tis
Ah.
but a scratch.
A lot of the British attitude can really
That's
be
a good
pointed
movie.
to our very long and brutal history. We've had tons of wars and plagues and religious upheavals. All of these things have kind of led to British people sort of having doubt and distrust into the future. Like, yeah, it might be going well now, but tomorrow a swarm of Belgians might come over and behead us. Understanding our history gives us this cautiousness to being too optimistic about the future. As well, you have to combine the religious attitudes of the Church of England. The Church of England was very much a believer in the idea of original sin. The idea that humans have fallen from God, we're all inherently bad, although we do have the ability to be somewhat redeemed. This has engineered a sort of attitude of cautious optimism. We're not entirely 100% pessimists. All of this combined with the fact that our weather is pretty shit.
Rain, rain, rain.
That's not shit, okay? That's my favorite weather, and we're lucky to have it.
Of every year.
You could literally have a week of sunshine in England and think, you know what, this Saturday, let's go for a picnic with the family. And then because your dad showed...
You know, that's basically the United States, depending on what part, because it's so big. You know, the weather is going to be different. If you go down south, you'll assume it's going to be hot, even in the winter. West Coast, pretty much similar. It's just hot. If you go up north, it's going to be like blizzard. If you're in the Midwest, so you're going to get all four seasons, and they're going to be different every year. So it's just what it is. So that's unfortunate. He doesn't like rainstorms because I would thrive off of that shit. And there's certain places in America that have it all the time. Like for example, Washington State up there in the Northwest. You know, that would have been like one of my ideal places to live if it wasn't for the politics in that direction.
Some optimism in the weather. God will smite you with a torrential downpour for the next month. And so this general attitude can be completely contrasted with American optimism. And that stems from, ultimately, if you're the type of person...
Too much talk about optimism in America.
Britain,
is not.
A established nation that has infrastructure, etc. Hop on a boat, travel for weeks, months across uncharted waters to arrive on uncharted lands. To do that, you need at least an ounce of optimism.
No, just you want freedom.
In the
That's
distance,
it.
See? Mate, you've been
all
saying
you
that for
need.
the last 3 fucking icebergs. Oh, look. Yeah, look. Can you see it? Another fucking iceberg. I'm tired of this. Fuck it. And then so after discovering this new land, which was a crazy thing to go and do, America then went through 2 great awakenings. I don't know what happened in the first one, if they just hit snooze or something, but the first great awakening was in 1730 to 1740, and then the second one in 1795 all the way up to 1835. So what happened in this was that the religious attitudes of America had evolved. New ideas around like self-improvement, the idea that everyone has the ability to shape their own destiny and their own future. Humans can
Depends
be
on
better,
who you talk
they can
to.
improve society, they can make and create things that make the world better.
Everybody, I know you can believe in yourself.
They had strong convictions around the importance of working hard, as well as very pragmatic attitudes, the idea that things should be done well and efficiently. These last 2 led to a very strong cultural focus on capitalism and efficiency in business, which all of this manifested itself in the idea of the American dream.
Yeah, the American dream
American dream is just the ability to achieve. Anybody can do it, but you're not just going to get it because you want it. You got to be willing to work hard. You got to apply a lot of hard work. You got to apply faith. You got to.
It depends on who you are, actually.
You got to never ever give up.
So basically, the idea of the American dream is that any old piece of shit, old Bob who still lives at home with his parents, 40 years old, anyone can go and do anything.
Right place,
they
right
want
time
to
for a lot of people. Connections.
They can become the next president.
Other people are going to have a hell of a hard time trying to get the American dream.
British people are told it won't happen to you. And they carry that. They carry that with them.
And I know what's probably going through your head. You might hear that and think, fucking hell, why are Britons so pessimistic? I mean, we literally had the biggest empire on earth. Why are we so deflated? And so that leads us to a very core cultural difference between England and America, and that is class structure.
I was brought up in a poor family, you know. Really, we had nothing, really. If I could get in a position that some of them people in, I would like to be in it. These lords or ladies or peers, or you're talking about them class of people.
The Curzon's family started with William the Conqueror.
In Britain, the idea of class and where you stand socially has been a very core part of our identity. Until very recently, as a Brit, your whole life was decided before you were born. These differences between the upper class and the working class has existed through most of British history. There's like this idea that the upper class are pure blood. They were like chosen by God. They had divine rights. They literally referred to themselves as blue-blooded. And they were much better than the grunts working the coal mines to power their beautiful machinery. And so there's always been this attitude in England of like judgment between the classes. The upper class and the working class hate each other. And class is interesting because it's not just defined by wealth.
That's America.
We give
I'm telling you, that's America.
3 times a week. This enables us to keep in touch with our wide circle of friends.
We give a wine and cheese do once a month. This enables us to do it on the cheap.
Her mother comes round Saturday nights and drinks my Guinness. This enables her to get drunk for nothing.
Class is much deeper than simply wealth. It's the accent you talk in, the way you behave, the schools that you're educated in. If you're from Cambridge School of Witchcraft and Wizardry versus the community college in Shitham, literally everything you did would be defined by class.
Yeah,
I think working class people in general feel this kind of.
It really is. We're all not that different.
Down upon them, and I can't put it into words of what it is. But I think people watching this will understand that you feel it pushing you down all the time.
And so there's this understanding that there isn't much class mobility. If you are lower class, even if you got wealthy, you could never be upper class. There's no way. And so this kind of demoralization spawned a attitude in British people that things can't really get that much better. I'm always going to be judged from basically the background that I'm from. In America, as I explained with the American dream, the attitude is that anyone can be anything.
No.
Americans love the idea of the rags to riches story. The underdog archetype that you see in films like Pursuit of Happiness or The Fountain.
You can't take the, the what your upbringing is. You can't really take it out of you. I mean, you could change your beliefs and be like, I don't want a part of this shit. But, if you say, like, for example, when I moved 3 hours away from Chicago, people knew that I was from Chicago. So you're always going to be from Chicago. All right. And if I leave Illinois, people are going to see the license plate and they're going to be like, oh, shit. And I'm not one of those people that they're actually worried about, but they don't know that. So, it's basically what it is that kind of thing right here in America. We got more similarities than differences, it appears, based on so far what he's talking about.
Class does exist in America, but it is very different. You're probably going to see more things between North and South divides and racial divides. But I do, as a British person, quickly want to make a caveat. The British people have never had like outright defeatism. British people will try in life. They'll try very hard, but we just don't like to get our hopes up. We are optimistic, but just in a very cautious way. Like, Americans might aspire to be a millionaire CEO of a big tech startup, whilst British people will aspire to one day shop at Waitrose.
My wife likes to shop at Waitrose. It's the middle class.
A lot of the optimism that you're talking about,
people who shop at Waitrose, they like
is
to drop
fake.
into conversations. Sorry, I'm late. I was just
the term "fake it till you make it."
So the explanation
a lot
on
of
the
people.
class system leads us to another point, which is politeness and expressiveness.
people act in a certain way because they're told, oh, this is the way that you manifest
with the
it.
food?
All right,
Oh,
so they're
yes,
trying it. That's
I would
all.
say British people are kind of overly aware of being rude and impolite, which has some benefits. You know, we treat people really well. We hate to be awkward and we like people to feel relaxed. But it can cause British people to take way too much shit and not stand up for themselves.
Take a bitch.
What the I slap you and you want me to hit you on the other cheek?
Americans will tolerate less bullshit, which is a good thing, but then sometimes they can be a bit rude and a bit overly confrontational. I have waited exactly 5 minutes. It is a Big Mac. How long do you need? This difference when it comes to being polite probably stems from the British Reserve.
They're spitting
and
that
American
shit,
individualism.
right? Then you're
British
gonna get it.
people are very reserved. Typically, in public, we all sit like this, and we're all very quiet, and we don't laugh too loud, and we try and be really polite. And this can stem from the Victorian era. There was very strict social rules over behavior, dress, the way you express yourself.
I couldn't live in that.
Stern and rigid. The reason we tolerate so much shit
I'm not
is
capable
because
of living
we
in
have
that
the
era.
religious idea of turning the other cheek. As well, our probably over-awareness of people's personal space and being rude can probably stem from the fact that we live on a small island very closely together. We don't have a lot of space and we're all on top of each other. So we have a strong respect for people's personal space.
Okay.
And then, like, some of it is the fact that the upper class social attitudes probably trickled down to the working class, where it's always seen as being a lower class thing to speak loudly and have bad manners and be overly confrontational.
Can you come back in, please?
Oh my God, this is well harassment. I'm going to take this to the Court of European Rights.
And so, British people have the attitude of a stiff upper lip, don't show emotion, and don't complain about your problems.
That's a little extra.
Well, that was fucking scary.
Whereas Americans, that is not the case.
What country are we in? In the United States. You're goddamn right. You can't take a picture here. Okay, First Amendment. Get back over there.
I have a right to speak. I have a right to speak.
Yeah, we don't
This
take
is my right
we don't
as
take
much as
shit
it is
from
yours.
nobody.
This is my land as much as it is yours.
To Americans,
Well, that bitch is
I
crazy,
am important.
but that's not what I'm talking
the
about.
center of the universe. After the Great Awakening, there was a strong focus on individualism. Emotionality and expression is a good thing. Being outgoing and extroverted is a very American thing. British people are very introverted.
I'm not
Americans,
extroverted.
after
You
things
should
like
know
the Bill
I'm
of
an
Rights, have a
introvert,
strong
but I
focus
will.
on their personal rights and
I
freedoms.
will defend
and liberty.
myself.
In America, all men are created equal, and so they don't have this idea that you're better than me or I'm better than you by birthright. We're all humans,
Bullshit.
we all exist, and we all deserve respect. And so this leads to politics and the attitude toward authority.
This is an illegal detention at this point. You better get your shit straight. Oh, I will file a complaint. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Like, right as soon as we leave here.
Am I not human to you, huh?
Americans are inherently very skeptical of authority. They believe more so in small government and self-autonomy due to the British ruling America and, you know, being a bit naughty, a bit rough around the edges. As well, Americans are very rebellious. The formation of America was around escaping the Church of England. In Britain, on the other hand, it is different. We do have a trust in our government. It is waning currently.
Fuck
Typically,
that.
we trust in social order and we don't really make too much of a big deal about infringement of our rights. And that's probably because of years of unquestioned power by monarchs. And again, the stoicism and the idea of stiff upper lip, not complaining too much, not making a big deal.
You guys
It
gotta
kind
get
of
past
has led
that,
to this
trust me.
polite, submissive behavior, which sometimes is a bit embarrassing.
Careful, sir, it's hot. Oh, sorry. Might burn yourself. Yeah, sorry. Would you like some salt and pepper? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Like, you can kind of picture the movie scene of a British person, an American person dealing with authority. Excuse me, sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. Listen here, tough guy. You don't talk to me like that.
My hero.
Excuse me,
That's
sir,
right.
I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Oh, yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, that's fine. We'll leave. For sure.
Get wrecked,
But
bitch.
darling, your dad owns the restaurant.
Yes, I don't want to be rude. And so with all this, you can extrapolate these attitudes and understand different attitudes towards certain issues. You know, for instance, guns.
Fact, you can
Americans
carry
see
my
guns as
whole
the
dead
right to
carcass
protect
out of your
themselves from
restaurant.
government and other people. America's fast food and subsequent obesity problem has stemmed from the ideas of efficiency in business, not wanting to waste time on food, taking too long to cook. And then you have things like healthcare and welfare. Like in Britain, we have a pretty strong healthcare system. Let's not get into that. Whereas Americans are far more reserved on bringing anything into public domain,
there's trade-offs.
especially healthcare. Britain has an obsession with tradition and upholding tradition, whereas America have a strong focus on new and innovation and new products, technology.
By making the screen taller but not wider, you can see more of your content without the need to scroll.
We're making scrolling a thing of the past.
And so look, I've picked apart British people and American people. I've made jokes, I've pointed out some bad things, but I want to say, and I think this is true, Americans and British people have a very deep mutual respect for each other. I think very much these days, ever since the war, we've had what has been dubbed a special relationship. I don't know if that's a gay thing or something, but whatever. As a Brit, I can say honestly, I really do love Americans. I love being around Americans. I really admire their confidence. They're so easy to talk to.
Yeah, we got no problem with you guys either. But we really don't have any problem with anyone.
Excuse
Just
me, young man. Is anyone
usually
sitting
the people
here?
that are in charge
Would you mind if we sat here?
No, it's fine.
that are the problem
Ronald,
everywhere.
This is Pammy. Actually, you forgot to tell us your name.
Peter.
Peter!
It can be pretty depressing talking with British people about the future and your ambitions. Whereas Americans are all patting you on the back saying, yeah, you can do it, bro. And I think Americans do appreciate British people as well. They probably appreciate our realism. We don't really bullshit ourselves. We're very honest. We know our strengths, but we also know our flaws. Often Americans see us as well-spoken and intelligent. And you can actually see our comedy has massively influenced modern American comedy. There's a lot more awkward, dry humor in American television now than there ever was in the past. And obviously, Americans fucking love our traditions, arguably more than us. And it leads me to a final thought, and that is about cultural homogenization. With the internet, culture across the world has sort of melted together. We're all seeing the same media constantly. I will listen to endless American podcasters telling me to go after my dreams and fix my life or something. The idea that the internet is bringing lots of different value systems together and you can kind of choose which one suits you, as opposed just the one that dominates your country. But I do wonder, are we going to see less of these interesting differences, and are we just going to become a sort of best of greatest album kind of thing? Let me know in the comments if you want to see more on this.
I mean, he's right. The internet has brought things more streamlined, basically, and that's with everything. You know, media. We don't have to watch the propaganda system anymore. We can get the news from each other. You know, that are on the ground and dealing with actual things that are going on. Just turn off those government news stations. And talk to each other, learn from each other. You know, just the systems that we have are the problems. It's not the people. We can get along just fine. And a lot of these things we actually have more in common. I don't think he's got as much experience as he thought making the video on this subject, that because I don't think he's met enough Americans. He probably just got a certain class of them, and that's where he's come up with some of these ideas. But we're a lot more similar than you think, based on what he said. I don't know if that's the common thought process about us versus you, because we are not positive, like he said. We're not at all. We only a small amount. A very, very tiny, minuscule amount of Americans are truly positive all the time. And I would imagine that's anywhere. And it's usually because they got a silver spoon up their butt. And they never had to work for anything that they've gotten. People like me, I've worked for everything that I've gotten in life. And I've also was quick to deal with the things that would hit me hard. If you're not networked with the right people, or if you're not in the right part of the country, or whatever it might be, you know, somebody's just got political differences, or you know, they're just connected to somebody who wants to dominate, and so they're going to take you apart no matter what. That's their goal. And so it's like that, you know. Americans are not positive. We're only positive that we're only going to get the short end of the stick, all right? And if something good happens, then it's like, you know, great, that was a coincidence. And we don't believe in coincidences. So anyway, if you like this, hit the like button and leave a comment. Let me know what you thought about what I have to say, and if it's if you think like this guy, Jimmy the Giant. And by the way, check his channel out. Go check out this video on his channel and his other content. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification. Check out some other reactions. Check out some of my gameplay. I appreciate it. And check out the links in the description. It will really help me out. All right, I'll catch you later.